Welcome, everybody, to the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda. And before I jump into this week's episode, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and reflect on the recent passing of my grandmother, Carlota Autran, who passed away this past Thursday, September the 29th, 2022. She was 100 years old. It's amazing for me to think back and just, wow, it was an amazing, wonderful life that she lived, that she got to live old enough to meet her great great grandchild, which is really, really great. I mean, most people don't get to live that old or not long enough to meet that many generations of family. So I want to just give a brief tribute to her, to let people know about her, who she was. And as I've mentioned many times on the podcast, it's important that stuff like this gets documented so that we never forget, that we can always remember our loved ones, our family members and friends who mean a lot to us. And my grandmother meant a lot to me, as she did to all of her children, to her grandkids, great grandkids, everybody absolutely loved her. Wonderful, wonderful woman. Carlota Morales was born on June 6, 1922. So as I mentioned, she was 100 years old when she passed. She married her husband, Ernesto, so my grandfather, in 1946. So obviously they lived long enough to celebrate their 50th anniversary. My grandfather passed away in 2012. So it was nice that, they're finally reunited together. They had 5 kids. So Maria Ernesto, Vilma, Alma Cecilia, Ana Yanita, my mom, and Jesus Ramon, my uncle, who also passed away a couple of years ago too. So again, taking time to reflect on his passing as well is important. My grandmother loved traveling. She traveled quite a bit, did so at her older age as well. So various destinations throughout the United States, San Diego, Sedona in Arizona, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Disneyland. She got to go to Disneyland. And then, of course, when her and the family moved from Central America, more specifically El Salvador, to the United States in 1962, in the summer of 1962, they were able to go back to Central America many times for visits. So to El Salvador and Costa Rica, various locations throughout Europe as well, to Barcelona, Norway, other places like that. So she was definitely a world traveler, and she traveled quite a bit in her older age as well. And what was interesting talking to my mom about it, my grandmother loved to dance. I mean, that was like her favorite thing to do. And it's always interesting when you learn about your relatives, like what was their favorite things to do. For me, everyone knows that I love sports, that I love pop culture, that I love recording podcasts now. For entertainment and fun, she would go dancing. And she would also dance at family parties, at weddings, and even at her older age, she would still dance. She would love it. It was really, really great. An interesting fact to note, I was a little hesitant to bring this up, thinking that it might have been a little too personal. But when she was a child, she was abandoned by her birth family, which has got to be traumatic and heartbreaking. But it was interesting that she had a positive outlook on life. And her hero was Ruth from the Bible, the Old Testament. Yet she had a model, family model would be welcome. She was welcoming and loving. And then when she got married, my grandfather's side of the family really took her in, so that became her family, as it were. And always welcoming and loving, for people to visit, to really cherish, family relationships. I think that's something that she really did. So she'll be missed greatly, but again, she got to live a long, full life. So it's very wonderful and great that she got to do that. So thank you. Okay, so again, I just wanted to share my thoughts about my recently departed grandmother, Carlota Autran, and just know that we miss her and we love her. Okay, so the podcast is going to resume in just a little bit. So stay tuned for this week's episode of the Casting for Fun podcast.
You're listening to the Casting for Fun podcast, the show that talks about entertainment, sports, music and inspirational stories for all to enjoy. We're glad that you could join us today. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
Okay, so here we go. This is this week's episode of the Casting for Fun podcast. I'm going to be joined by really great guests, Stephen and Weston Cable, to have a conversation about Star Wars and to talk about Top Gun Maverick. Kind of late to the party. You know, Top Gun Maverick came out this past summer. I finally got around to seeing it, and yes, I absolutely loved it. It was definitely the movie of the summer, movie of the year so far. I don't know if anything's going to be better. Maybe Wakanda Forever, we'll see. But Top Gun Maverick might end up being my favorite movie of the year. So it'll be really interesting to see how everything shapes out. But I have a great conversation with Stephen Cable about the movie and a great conversation with Stephen's son, Weston, about Star Wars, which is really great and fun. So they'll be joining me in just a little bit on the Casting for Fun podcast. Before I get to that, I just wanted to share a brief news about my favorite band, Depeche Mode. It was very exciting that today, October 4th, they held a press conference in Germany. That was highly speculated that this was going to be happening, but then the band denied it. I guess maybe because they had gotten leaked out, but it was in fact true. The rumors were true that they held a press conference today, and the rumors were true about what they were going to announce. Depeche Mode is continuing on, even with the passing of Andrew Fletcher. New album is going to be titled Memento Mori, and tour to promote the album, worldwide tour. Really excited for that. And they're going to be touring in North America first before they go to Europe. So they're going to be doing a local show here in LA at the Kia Forum on March 28th, 2023. So definitely count on me getting tickets for that with Allison, because I really want to take my wife to see Depeche Mode in concert. So that's going to be really fun. Okay, so here we go. Casting for Fun podcast, talking about Star Wars and Top Gun Maverick with the Cable Boys, with Stephen and Weston Cable. Okay, joining me now on the Casting for Fun podcast is his very first time on the show, Weston Cable. Weston, how are you doing tonight, buddy? Awesome. Thank you for joining me tonight, and thank you for wanting to talk Star Wars, because I love talking Star Wars. So anything Star Wars related, I'm always down to talk. Very good. So a couple questions for you just about Star Wars. I think it'll be kind of fun. Some of them are questions I've asked you before, but some of them are brand new. So it should be a really cool conversation. And of course, Avery has a specific question for you related to Star Wars. So when that time comes, I'll have Avery on the podcast to ask you a question.
Okay.
Very cool. Not just yet, sweetie. Okay, here we go. So Weston, with all the entertainment that's available to you, there's so much. It seems to me that Star Wars is one of your favorites. So why is it that you like Star Wars so much?
I don't know. I just like that it's themed on I don't know. It's kind of like Marvel mixed with aliens. That's what I kind of about it.
No, that's a very good way of describing it. I agree. Yeah. That obviously the Jedi have powers like a superhero would. They get to use really cool weapons, and then they're fighting like evil like the superheroes do for Marvel, which is really cool as well. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Probably The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Oh, good choice. Very good. I often think that the younger crowd, I think maybe kind of lean more towards the newer stuff. So that's very cool. Good. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Are you looking for a specific timeline?
Oh, any from any era of Star Wars. If you have more than one, you can list more than one.
I like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, very good.
And Han Solo.
Good.
And I really like Darth Maul.
Oh, Darth Maul's a good villain. Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I have a few questions related to The Mandalorian, so the newer Disney Plus shows. In fact, one of them is one that Avery would like to ask. So Avery, come please join me on the Casting for Fun podcast. Avery, say hello.
Hi.
Okay, do you remember your question that you wanted to ask Weston? Right here.
What do you think about Baby Yoda?
Did you hear that, Weston?
I heard the last part.
Okay, Avery was asking, what's your favorite thing about Grogu / Baby Yoda?
Oh, I like how Mandalorian and him met.
Yeah, that was a really cool surprise. I mean, when I remember watching that episode for the first time, and yeah, had no clue what they were gonna find once they busted open the door, and sure enough, it was a baby of Yoda's species, which I guess technically we still don't know the name of, but
Not
everyone,
really a baby.
yeah, not a baby. I mean, well, I guess for his species, he's a baby. For not humans, no, because he's 50 years old. But yeah, so his baby Yoda slash Grogu's introduction was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, Avery. Good question. Okay, so one more in regards to Grogu. Do you have any theories, or who do you think is the Jedi that saves Grogu from the Jedi Temple from Order 66?
I feel like it's Ahsoka
Oh, that's a good guess.
because he was the like one of the two Jedis that appeared in Mandalorian. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a very very good guess. Yeah, very cool. We'll have to wait and see if they do make it Ahsoka. Very cool. Okay, what's your favorite Star Wars video game?
probably Battlefront 2.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we got the chance to play together. That was really fun. Battlefront 2 was a really fun game. Yes, Avery. Oh, oh, Avery wanted me to ask you a question that's not related to Star Wars, but related to school. So obviously, you guys have that in common. Do you know the name of the panther for Pepper Tree? What's the panther?
Yes, Pepper.
Pepper. There you go. Yeah. Okay, Avery was dying to know. She couldn't remember for the life of her. Okay, very cool. What Star Wars planet would you live on if you can choose a planet?
Wait, Kashyyyk.
I
Kashyyyk.
think, oh yeah, that was the cool one. You get to really cool jungle settings, live with the Wookiees. That'd be really fun. Yeah. What color lightsaber would you have if you were a Jedi?
Like out of any of them?
Yeah, in any color you want. I know we talked
Probably
about it before that traditionally the Jedi just use like blue and green. But and then Mace Windu uses a purple one because the actor Samuel L. Jackson asked to use a purple one. So you can choose any color you want. What color would you choose?
I would choose the yellow.
Yellow. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, yellow would be cool. That's like how Rey's is at the end of the Rise of Skywalker. Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay, if you could pick any three Jedi to face off against any three Sith for like just a fun fantasy matchup, who would you pick?
Hmm. I would pick definitely Obi-Wan. Um, probably Anakin, and then Mace Windu.
Mace Windu. Oh, very cool. So prequel era Jedi. Oh, the Clone Wars rather. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And who would they face off against from any era of Sith?
Darth Maul and Darth Sidious and Kylo Ren.
Oh, very cool. That'd be a really cool matchup. So who wins that matchup?
I feel like the Sith would.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought you said the Jedi would win. Okay, very cool. That's a good answer. Okay. Okay, so last question. I think this is gonna be a fun one. This might be a little thought. You have to put some thought into this question.
Yeah.
If you could pick any job in the Star Wars universe, but except a Jedi, you can't be a Jedi, but any other job that's available in the Star Wars universe, what job would you pick? Now think, I mean, there's so many different jobs you can do.
Bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter, yeah, that's a good one. How come you would be a bounty hunter?
Cause I just like all the like times where like with um like the best bounty hunter moments. They look pretty cool.
Oh yeah, especially Mandalorian bounty hunters or Mandalore. They have the really cool armor. So you can decorate it any style you want, which would be really cool too. And there's definitely no shortage of work because there's lots of troublemakers in the galaxy. So you have people to go
Yeah.
find them. I think I'd want to be a cantina musician. They need musicians too. I mean, you got to have the players at Jabba's Palace or the Mos Eisley Cantina. So there's lots of good work with being a musician in the Star Wars universe, I think. Oh, okay. So Allison has a question for you as well. She wanted to know why did you pick Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Mace Windu as your three top Jedi's?
Because I feel like those are some of the strongest Jedi's in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, I would agree. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the three of them had fought together many times, so they know each other well, and that could be an advantage for them to fight off against those Sith.
Yeah.
Very cool. Did you have any questions for me?
What planet would you live on in Star Wars?
Oh, that's a good question too. So my dad would tell you this that I loved the Ewoks when I was a little kid, and I would pretend to be an Ewok, and I had like an Ewok teddy bear with it. So yeah, I think Endor would have been my pick as a child, but as an adult, I think I'd pick Naboo. I think Naboo would be really cool, like the European style that they have all the buildings looking like. In fact, I think it's actually scenes from Naboo were actually filmed in Italy, which would be really cool to like a real life location you can go visit, which would be really fun. So probably Naboo. I think that'd be the place I would pick.
What's your favorite type of droid in the Star Wars franchise?
The R2 units are cool. So yeah, the R2 units I think would probably be my favorites, but the BB-8 BB units are really cool too. They'd be a close second. But yeah, R2 units would be my favorite. What's your favorite type of droid?
But probably the first droid you see in Mandalorian that helps Mandalorian try to hunt Baby Yoda.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. That's right.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
My favorite Star Wars movie is The Empire Strikes Back. But all of them are great. All of them are really fun. Maybe not so much The Last Jedi.
Hmm.
But no, I think Star Wars is great. I love it all. It's all great stuff. Yeah.
Who's your favorite Jedi?
Favorite Jedi, mine's would be Obi-Wan as well, but I especially really love the young Obi-Wan. So the old man actor who played him, Alec Guinness, I think he did a great job, but I think Ewan McGregor's portrayal is the one I really, really like. So yeah, young Obi-Wan would be my favorite.
What's your favorite lightsaber battle in the whole franchise?
Oh, that's a really good question too. I probably would pick Obi-Wan versus Anakin from Revenge of the Sith.
Uh,
It's kind of funny that in today with the internet being the way it is, like everyone has to make a meme out of everything. Like, they make the constant references to I have the high ground. So yeah, like the whole sequence, which is fantastic, is you can tell that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, the two actors, put everything into it. So it was really, really cool to see that fight.
I have a couple of favorite lightsaber battles.
Oh, sure. What's your favorite? Or one
I
of your
like the General Grievous and Obi-Wan,
that one's great too. Yeah.
and I like the Kylo Kylo Ren versus Finn and Rey.
Oh, from The Force Awakens. Yeah, that's a good one too. Oh, okay. Allison had another question for you. She wanted to know if there's any Sith or any character from Star Wars that kind of scares you, that kind of just gives you little creeps a little bit.
And Snoke.
Snoke? Okay, yeah. Yeah, he's kind of weird looking. Good choice. Very cool.
What's your favorite Star Wars spaceship?
Spaceship?
Mm-hmm.
Probably the X-wing. I tend to use Luke Skywalker's call sign as Red 5 often. So I can't wait for them to someday maybe do a movie. I know they were planning on it, but I think it's on the back burner now to do a Rogue Squadron movie about the pilots. But that's what a movie or Disney Plus show I'd really love to see if they can actually get one made.
If you had a lightsaber, what color would it be?
I probably would pick blue. I know it's kind of like the boring because all the other Jedi use blue, but blue's my favorite color. So
Cool.
Allison also wanted to know if you could choose the light side of the force or the dark side, which side would you choose? And choose wisely because your parents are listening. So
I do really like the Sith because they force lightning, but the Sith.
oh no. Okay, that's funny. That's good. Okay. Yeah, they have some cool powers, but
Yeah.
remember the Sith always lose.
What's your favorite Star Wars? If you could have a pet, what's your Star Wars pet? What alien would it be?
Oh, okay, that's a good question too. Star Wars pet.
It can be anything too. Feisty to so gentle.
Yeah. As far as a pet, I don't know. It's kind of hard, Weston, because I don't know if you know this about me. Allison could tell you, I'm not really a big pet person. I don't like animals that much. I forget his name, but maybe I would pick Jabba's pet. Salacious Crumb, I think is his name, the one who laughs a lot. So if I tell a funny joke, he would laugh. But yeah, I don't know if I'd really want a pet.
What do you think about Jar Jar Binks?
Oh, Jar Jar Binks is silly. He's ridiculous. But it's kind of funny. Yeah, so most people really dislike Jar Jar Binks, and I probably would agree. But there's an episode of the Clone Wars cartoon show where Jar Jar Binks and Mace Windu are forced to team up on a mission, and it's actually kind of funny. So like the idea of like the you probably don't know the TV show The Odd Couple, but if you just get two people that are completely different and then force them to live together or have to work together, like the results can be pretty funny. So yeah, that's actually maybe one of Jar Jar's redeeming qualities. That episode of the Clone Wars. Oh, what do you think of Jar Jar Binks? Do you like him or no?
I think he is like funny and he's also like weird, but I don't know, he's just weird.
Yeah, he's weird. He's weird, but he is funny. It's kind of goofy and funny. So
How rude.
that's a good Jar Jar. Very good. Which Anakin did you like? Which stage of his life did you like Anakin?
Probably the Revenge of the Sith version.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think that's the best part of Anakin.
Hmm.
That was pretty much all the questions I had. Did you have any more or any additional questions?
Um, what made you like Star Wars?
Oh, that's a really great question. I kind of went over it when I did a podcast talking to my very good friend Kevin Weir about Star Wars. But basically, when I was a really young child, probably maybe a little bit younger than you, or maybe close to your age, I can't really remember. But it just seemed like it was always part of my life because we would always watch it as a family. So it was like family bonding time, which was really fun. And the idea of like the good defeating the evil, the teachings we learn from Yoda, I think are really inspiring, really great. I love the John Williams score. I mean, the music is a huge, big deal, and I think it's very iconic. So whenever you hear the musical score from John Williams, you know immediately what it is. So all those things combined, I think, make Star Wars really, really great, and I've loved it since I was a kid, and continue to love it today.
What do you like better, Star Wars or Marvel?
Oh, that's a really tough question too, because both of them I think I kind of grew to love at the same time. Um, it's really, really hard, but I think I might pick Marvel. But it's really, really a tough one.
Right now, I would pick Star Wars, but probably in the past, I would pick Marvel.
Oh, very cool. That's interesting. What? Why would that be?
Because, like, I didn't watch Star Wars, I think, until I was and I started watching Marvel when I was like 6.
Oh, okay.
Before, I probably liked Marvel better because like the movies would start off with fighting, and in Star Wars they start off with a bunch of talking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I know a lot of people complained about a lot of talking going on in the prequel trilogy. And actually, I mean, I don't know if you've watched any of the newer Disney Plus shows. There's been too much talking, I think, going on in Andor. And I've been complaining to Allison about that. It's too much talking. I don't like it. Okay, do you have a favorite scene from the movie? So not specifically a movie, but like maybe an action sequence.
What the time where General Grievous and Obi-Wan Kenobi were fighting, and Obi-Wan says, "Hello there."
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. In fact, Obi-Wan's repeated that line several times in Star Wars movies. So that's pretty cool. Very cool. Mine would be when Luke saves everybody from Jabba's palace when they're on like
that's a good one.
That was really cool. R2 shoots the lightsaber to him, and then just Luke goes to town on everybody. Like those Jabba guards didn't stand a chance. Very cool. Was that it for tonight? I think.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, Weston, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast for chatting Star Wars. It's always fun, and glad to see you're doing well. And we definitely should do this again in the future. We love your family. Your family is so great, and it's been fun getting to hang out with you and spend time with you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Weston. So have a good night, and then everybody stay tuned for the Casting for Fun podcast because Stephen Cable, Weston's dad, will be joining me in just a little bit. Returning to the Casting for Fun podcast is my very good buddy, Weston Cable. Steven, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, Albert. How about yourself?
I'm doing great too. It's good to have you back on. It's good that we were both finally able to watch Top Gun Maverick. And,
yeah, that is definitely my fault. But I was late to the party in the Top Gun Maverick viewing, I guess.
Oh, very cool, very cool. It's tough for both of us to get out to the movies because of families and everything. So, but grateful that we both got to see it, and grateful that we have this chance to discuss it now. So definitely that will be the focus of our conversation. But if we got some time, we can even talk about all normal things that we share in common too.
Sounds good. I'm good for that too.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so I know you're a big fan of the podcast and you've listened to the previous episodes I've done. I don't know if you've caught up all the way to the most recent episode with my friend Nathan Wolf.
I haven't caught up all the way yet. I'm still behind on your podcast, but I'm trying to catch up as fast as I can. But once you get behind it, it's kind of hard to catch up.
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh, no worries, no worries. So with my friend Nathan Wolf, we discussed the show Cobra Kai, which is a continuation of the Karate Kid franchise from the 80s. And we discussed the concept of legacy sequels. So, sequels of things that came out, years before, sometimes decades before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Revisit it and bring back as many of the original cast as possible. And Top Gun Maverick falls into that category, obviously, with Tom Cruise returning and, taking place, many, many years after. And we get to see Goose's infant son now as an adult. So we'll definitely get into that. But we see that these legacy sequels are pretty popular and they're sprouting out all the time. So what I wanted to ask you is, do you like the concept of legacy sequels? This was a conversation topic that Nathan and I had last week. And if you do, is there a legacy sequel that you would like to see Hollywood develop?
Oh, man, that's a good question. So I go back and forth on this because some of them are really bad and then other ones are pretty good. And so I think it's an easy way for Hollywood to make a buck. They know how popular those things were in the past, and they know that people would come out and see these again. But yeah, even one of my favorite movies ever, Field of Dreams, I heard they're making a sequel on that as well.
Oh wow, I didn't hear that. Oh, very cool.
The Kevin Costner's in talks with doing that, and so I have mixed feelings about that one as well. Like, I love that movie so much, and it's like, but why touch it? Why come back?
I know Ray Liotta, who played one of the ball players, has since passed away.
Right. And so that will be interesting to see what happens. I guess technically he was dead in the movie. How do you kill off a dead guy? So, but I like them. I think they're good. It brings back kind of like a nostalgic thing for things back in the past. And so I think they're fun for sure. Generally, they are fun. Not always the best, but they are fun.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I totally agree with your assessment on that. So with the topic of legacy sequels, let's jump into Top Gun Maverick. And so just like before, I have some fun facts and stats and interesting stuff about the movie itself. But please feel free to share anything that you have and your thoughts as well. And I'll have a few questions for you, just like before. So the development of Top Gun Maverick, I always thought was very interesting. So as far back as like 2010, Paramount Pictures was like developing the concept of doing a sequel with Tom Cruise returning, Jerry Bruckheimer returning to produce, and then the original director Tony Scott to direct. Tony Scott unfortunately committed suicide in 2012, so I know that kind of derailed the plans a little bit. The original director, Maverick, was dedicated to him, so I guess that was a nice little thing they did for him. But when the movie eventually got rolling, they hired a new director, Joseph Kosinski, who had worked with Tom Cruise previously in the movie Oblivion. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen that movie.
Okay, I haven't seen it either, but he's done some other cool stuff too. And there were several delays, obviously, because of the COVID pandemic that resulted in us not being able to see the movie up until just this recent year, 2022.
Right. The movie was supposed to be released in 2020.
Yeah. And then there were several like distributing streaming sites that were kind of like making pitches to I guess buy the distribution rights for the movie. They were really pushing for, let's put it on streaming if we can't get people in the theaters.
Sure.
And Tom Cruise was hardcore, like, no,
I
I
heard
want to
that.
see this in the theater. It's meant to be seen in an IMAX screen. So
Yep.
that makes me feel kind of bad that I didn't make the effort to go see it in the theater. I really feel like I should have.
Yeah, like I heard that was the whole reason it was delayed is because Tom was totally against it. He wanted it in the theater and he wanted everybody to come see it. So I thought that part of it was kind of cool that they're willing to delay a movie that long to get everybody in the theaters.
Oh yeah, and then we can definitely see that their investment paid off. I mean, it broke the
Oh
million
yeah.
dollar box office. It's only the second movie, and since the pandemic started to do that, the first being Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that it just did phenomenal box office numbers, and so many people that I know who like have nothing in common, like so Marie Bray and a few other people like
Sure.
who are different from her, like they all love it, which was kind of like it kind of appealed to like multiple generations of people. It kind of seemed to me.
Right. I have not heard one person say a bad thing about this movie. And there's other movies that are wildly popular, and you hear people, critique them and have, you know, criticisms about certain parts of the movies, but I haven't heard one person say a bad thing about this movie. And I kind of agree with everything I've heard. The movie was amazing. I loved it.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's jump in a little bit more about the specifics about the movie and what we
Yeah.
saw. So we get to see Val Kilmer return, which
Yeah.
was really great that we got to see him return because again, with all the delays that happened with the movie, I mean, he suffered throat cancer in
Yeah.
2016, so he really can't talk. He's essentially retired from acting. But Tom was insistent that he really wanted the Iceman character to come back on. And I think they did a great job of paying reverence and respect to him, that his character would be the I don't really know my military rankings. Like I guess
Admiral. He was an admiral.
Admiral, yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So, one of the higher ups, and he was the one that was pushing for Maverick to be an instructor,
Right.
telling him that they need him on. It was fascinating to learn that they use like I guess like computer techniques from as a speech company called Sonatech in order to recreate his voice to be able to.
Oh,
So I mean, they went through like a really like integral, like very like technical techniques to get it to the point where they could use them in the movie, which was really fascinating.
that's super cool.
Yeah. So did you like that sequence? I thought it was a really touching, really cool sequence when we met him reunited for the first time.
I thought it was awesome. When Maverick was texting him throughout the movie, I kept wondering. I was like, "Is he going to be in it?" And because I hadn't heard if he was in it or not beforehand, and so I was questioning that throughout. And then when he was on screen, I thought it was super cool, and I thought they did a fabulous job in that scene, and it kind of hit home. It was good. It was super good.
Oh yeah. So we can see with the techniques that Hollywood's using. I mean, they could, in fact, like going back to Field of Dreams, if they do decide to bring back Ray Liotta,
right? Sure.
Could, digitally recreate them. I mean, they have the technology where we can mimic people's voices. The deepfake technology, which again was another topic that Nathan and I went over. So do you like this computerized idea of bringing back like whether it's recreating voices or potentially bringing back characters if they were to use it right?
Yeah, I think it's cool. You see it in, Mandalorian, how Luke Skywalker looked in there and brought him back into his young age. That I thought it was awesome. When I first saw that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I think it's a really cool technology, and I think it's really valuable in these instances for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But then it's also great that you can bring back, actors who maybe like look like they fit the part perfectly. So a great example would be Miles Teller, who's playing Goose's young son. I forget the name of the son, but Miles Teller is the actor.
I only remember his call sign
As
Rooster. Rooster.
Yeah, I mean, it was great when I saw him on screen. Allison and I both admitted like he looks exactly like Anthony.
It was a perfect casting. It was awesome.
Yeah. So what did you think of his portrayal, and what did you think of that story arc that he would go for? Like, I guess like maybe kind of having resentful feelings towards Maverick, but then later on, I guess warming up to him.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good story arc. Starting with his call sign, I really liked how his call sign was also a bird. With his dad being Goose. And so I thought that was kind of a cool little, carry on with his dad. And then finding out why he had resentment with Maverick, Maverick trying to protect him and, delaying his entry into the Navy. And the way they ended up was awesome. I love seeing him in the back seat of the F-14 with Maverick and, going back to the first Top Gun with his dad in the back seat, and I thought it was a super cool arc with those two, and I thought it was a very well done job by them in the movie for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I've even read and heard that Miles Teller, the actor, has been kind of pushing the studio for like a potential spinoff with him.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I guess Top Gun Rooster.
Yeah.
So I think that would be kind of a cool thing that maybe have Tom Cruise, if he's willing, take kind of a little bit more of a back seat, but have Miles Teller actually take the reins as being the star. So would you be interested in that type of spinoff where potentially taking the characters who are popular?
For sure. Yeah, I think that would be fun. I think a lot of things are doing that. Disney Plus doing a lot of streaming shows, spinning off different portions of their movies, and I think Top Gun would be just as popular if they did a spin-off with that as well. So I would definitely watch.
Oh, for sure. Me too. Another aspect that I like of these legacy sequels is like they pay really close attention to minor details, and then they're able to incorporate them into the future installments, which I think is really cool. So an example of that is Jennifer Connelly's character. So we see Jennifer Connelly's playing the love interest now for Maverick.
Yes.
I believe Kelly McGinnis has been long since retired from acting, and I don't think she's in the best of health. So, I mean, she's probably happy with her life. I don't think she needs to being super skinny or whatever.
Yeah.
But so Jennifer Connelly plays the character Penny Benjamin. And I did a little research about this. I don't know if you knew this too, that I guess the character name was name dropped in the first movie.
Yes. When she was introduced on screen and he said Penny, I leaned over to Holly and I was like, do you remember her name in the first movie? And of course she didn't. And her name was actually dropped twice in the first movie. It was near the beginning when they're getting ripped into on the aircraft carrier. He's talking about all the different stunts Maverick did, and he said that one of them was with the admiral's daughter, and Goose leans over and he says Penny Benjamin, and I was like, yeah, see, I remembered that. And when he said Penny in this movie, like I got super excited about it. I was like, this is a super cool way to bring her into the movie. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome. I was really stoked about it.
Oh yeah, it's really cool because it's one of those things that you don't really think when you hear the name Penny Benjamin first announced, it's kind of just okay, I guess like Maverick had an off-screen fling, and we're never going to see or hear from her ever again. But sure enough, the producers and the writers said, hey, let's incorporate her into the new movie. That actually was a cool thing.
Yeah. I thought that was the only part that she was brought up in the first one, but then also when Goose's wife shows up at the base, she brings her up as well in that scene. And so she was brought up twice in the first one, and they brought her into the second one, and I thought it was super well done.
Oh yeah, me too, man. Very cool. So I want to talk a little bit about the planes, and this is where I'm definitely going to need your field of expertise, because obviously you know it a little better than I do. So
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I do know a little bit. So.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, according to what I have in my notes, so the F-18s were the planes that were used, the jets that were used in the first movie. And I guess, is that right?
F-14s were in the first movie.
F-14s? Okay, not F-18s?
F-18s in Maverick.
Oh, okay, F-18s in Maverick.
Yeah, you flipped it, yeah. F-14s were used in Top Gun, and then the F-18s were used in Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, but I guess there's already advanced to the point where there's F-35s, is that right?
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess in my notes, what they had suggested was that they suggested using the F-18s instead of the F-35s because the F-35's GPS weapons can't be used in a GPS jamming environment. So for this enemy base that they're attacking, I guess it would be more prudent for them to use the older model planes.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but that would make more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the F-35s also have just one seat. I don't know if you knew that. Okay, yeah, and I guess they wanted to have jets that have the two seats so that
correct
the actor and then a professional pilot who's going to be with them.
Correct. That's how they did. That's how they filmed it this time, with the actor in the back seat, making it look like they're flying the airplane. So, yeah.
And then I guess so. Okay, I see it here in my notes. Okay, the F-14 has actually been officially decommissioned by the U.S. Navy, which happened back in 2006.
Yeah,
but technically the only country that's still using them is the country of Iran. But I guess the F-18s, I mean, for me, not really necessarily knowing it, I guess they look kind of similar. Is that right? Or?
They do look similar. Yeah, they do look similar. So it is for an average person. Like, I don't even know No, I could probably tell them apart if I saw them just sitting there on a runway or something, but a lot of people probably couldn't tell them apart right away.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess that was good that they use that
Yeah,
to like kind of recreate as much as they can of the original movie.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The opening sequence, did you enjoy that with the Dark Star? I guess it's a fictional plane, but based off of a real plane.
Yeah, I did. I thought that was fun, and I thought it set up Maverick again perfectly how he is. Kind of a cowboy and flying by the seat of his pants and doing the things he wants to do. And I think it introduced that back into the movie perfectly and set it up to Maverick's going to do what he wants to do and not really care what his superiors say. And so I thought it was a great way to start the movie.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. A little research that I had done about that. So I guess that the
Yeah.
Dark Star is a fictional aircraft, but it's based off of an existing one, the SR-71 Blackbird and the Lockheed Martin F-35.
Okay.
So I don't know if any of those like sound any uh, familiar to you at all.
Yeah, the SR-71 Blackbird has been one of my favorite military aircraft ever since I was a little kid. It's a amazing aircraft. It flies right at the edge of the atmosphere, super fast. You saw how fast that aircraft was going in the movie.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, that's a really cool airplane, and that airplane's actually decommissioned. I believe that's SR-71.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they fly that aircraft anymore. So, but I don't know about the other one that you mentioned. What was the other one you mentioned?
The Lockheed Martin F-35.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know much about that one, so I wouldn't
Oh, okay.
have any
Okay.
information on that one. But the SR-71, that's a really cool aircraft. It's super fast, and it in that aircraft they actually have to wear almost astronaut type suits.
Oh, wow.
It flies that high and that fast, so it's a pretty cool aircraft.
Oh, okay, very cool, very cool. So I wanted to talk about the ending sequence. I mean, so it's pretty
Sure.
cool in that we got to, or I got to chat with your son Weston about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's kind of timely because the ending sequence or the climax of the movie parallels the original Star Wars movie in several ways, which I thought was kind of cool. And I think maybe it was intentionally done. But so they had to go through a trench like the Death Star to attack the enemy base.
Right.
And,
Right.
a target that was only, I think in Star Wars it's only 2 meters. I forget how big they said it was in Maverick. Maybe 3 meters.
I think it was 3 meters. I think you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah, and then when all hope seemed lost and it didn't seem like Maverick and Rooster were going to be able to finish the mission, they had their additional pilot fly out of nowhere. Hangman, I think was his name.
Hangman. Yep.
Yeah, the other young guy, kind of taking on the Han Solo role to
Right.
help save the Rebel Alliance cause, which I thought was pretty cool. So what did you think of that whole sequence or the plot that they were basically the plot of the movie that they're trying to train the next generation of Top Gun pilots to take on this dangerous mission?
I thought it was kind of a cool mission. I when I heard this movie was coming out, I was like, how are they going to make it different? Because you just don't want another dogfighting movie, like, and you don't want that to be the main sequence, and so I was really curious how they were going to play that out, and so I really liked how they set up this mission and how dangerous they made it, and the intensity behind it, and I really liked the flying portion in the canyons. I thought that was super cool to see how those pilots flying through there. It's pretty incredible. And, the whole ending of the movie was up and down, emotion wise. It was intense. And then you think, Maverick crashes. Well, did he survive? And then Rooster crashes. And did he survive? And then they meet up and they have this moment where they push each other and it's like a little comedic moment there between the two. And so it's kind of like a little comedic relief and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And Maverick remembers, hey, there's this F-14 at this base. And so, Rooster's kind of like, are you kidding me? We're really going to go do this? And so, they sneak onto the base and they're trying to act all cool walking. And then they're like, oh no, we need to run. And so they run over to the F-14 and, they get in that and get off the ground. And then they're fighting. I don't even know what they called their aircraft, the unknown country, which I guess everybody calls Russia. Their aircraft, which is far superior than the F-14, and you think, oh well, like they're done here. But I'm sitting there and I lean over to Holly and I was like, when's Hangman gonna show up? Like this is the point where like Hangman's gonna show up, isn't he? And like he finally does, and it was perfect. I loved how they did it. I I felt like, they put emotions high and they brought it down with comedic relief, and then it got intense again, and then Hangman shows up, and I thought it was really well done how they did it. It kept you on the edge of your seat and your emotions high, and I really thought they did a really well job with that. That sounded bad. They did a really good job with that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. It was really great to see, like you said, edge of your seat, and coming up with a brand new concept, and that they would have to a new problem they would have to fight or figure out versus just doing dogfights like you would suggest.
Yeah, and then I loved how they did add a little bit of dogfighting into it too. Yeah. They didn't completely stay away from it, but I love how it was a completely separate mission with a little bit of dogfighting in it. So it was super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is kind of interesting that they just like the first one, they don't name the enemy. I guess they kind of just make it ambiguous.
Right.
I guess maybe not to offend, or it's kind of interesting how that's worked in Hollywood. Like there's been a few movies, like I'm thinking one of the Rambo movies where Rambo fights soldiers from Burma. So the Burmese government, I guess, really hated the movie and tried to protest it or something like that. So there's been instances like maybe like the Kiefer Sutherland show 24, where they make up a fictional African country named Sangala.
Sure.
And use that as like the terrorists are from this place called Sangala, so they can kind of make it real world, but I guess not offend people by using the name of a real country.
Right. In the first movie, they called the enemy aircraft MiGs. Yeah. And MiGs is a Russian aircraft. So okay, yeah, cool. So everybody kind of got the hint that they're fighting Russia in the first one, just because of the fact they're using MiG. But they never did name Russia, and they never did name the country in this one. So I think that's, it's kind of cool that they do it that way. It keeps politics out of movies, and just makes it a good old action movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So callbacks to the first one. Were there any others that you really enjoyed, or it seemed like there are several from
let's see. Yeah, I have a couple notes here. Let's see. The first one was Goose's son. When he walked in, he kind of was wearing the Hawaiian shirt like his dad wore, with the sunglasses on his shirt, and then singing "Great Balls of Fire" at the piano. So that was a really cool callback. The motorcycle, Tom Cruise's motorcycle, that he still had that. And so I thought that was great that he uncovered that, and he was riding that around in the movie. Penny Benjamin, we mentioned that. I thought that was the best callback to the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
The F-14 at the end, getting into the F-14 and having Rooster get in the back seat with Maverick was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
You can't forget the beach scene. Like, it wasn't a volleyball scene this time with the guys, but they were playing football. Yeah. And so I thought that was a cool little different callback to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. I don't know. I can't think of anything else, but there were a couple good ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mentioned to you in the previous episode we did together that I really loved the line "Talk to me, Goose," which was multiple times. In fact, even Rooster, when he's like flying the plane, says, like, "Talk to me, Dad."
Talk to me, Dad. I thought that was super cool.
Like a little bit of a Star Wars callback, like almost trying to use the Force in a way.
Yeah, no, I thought that was super cool as well.
Yeah, and I really love that line because I named my fantasy football team after that line.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's super good.
Incorporating the original theme song, which I think is really iconic. I mean, it's just coming in my head right now.
Yeah, I loved how they opened the movie the exact same way on the aircraft carrier with the jets going off and the music. Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
Then actually one that's really subtle that I think maybe people might have missed is that in the first one, when they do the end credits, they're actually showing every character on screen and name. So it's kind of like an old school thing of Hollywood. I think not many movies do it anymore, but they actually brought it back for this one, which
that was great too. That was awesome.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So I mean, I can't recommend this movie enough. I think it's been the best movie of the summer, maybe even my favorite movie of the year. So we'll see when Black Panther Wakanda Forever comes out, but this might end up being my favorite movie for this year.
So far, Top Gun's my favorite movie of the year, no doubt. It was awesome, and I really enjoyed it.
Very cool. Were there any other things you wanted to bring up about Top Gun, either the original or Maverick?
Let's see. So So I have to ask, which scene was better? Was it the volleyball scene or the football scene?
Probably the football scene. I think I know it's the more iconic, I guess, and it's older and it happened with more of the guys or whatever. But
yeah,
I liked it. In fact, actually, we haven't even touched on her yet. The female pilot, she was pretty cool. I liked her character.
Yeah, she was great. I can't remember her call sign.
Yeah, I have to look it up, but
I think my sneaky favorite character in the movie was Bob. I loved how his call sign was Bob. Yeah. And like nobody really believed what his call sign was. And he was just like this, dorky looking dude, but he was like funny, and I really enjoyed Bob in the movie. It was super good.
Yeah, that was really cool. Really fun.
Let's see here. I like the football scene too, because I've never heard of battle football, and where you play offense and defense at the same time. And so I was like, I want to play that. That would be super fun to go out and play battle football. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed that scene just for that part, because I was trying to figure out what they were doing. They were playing with two balls and going both ways, and then Maverick called it battle football, and I was like, that's cool. I want to try that. So I really
think that concept would help pilots. I mean, it kind of seemed like it was almost in a training exercise in some way, right?
Yeah, because didn't he mention oh man, what was John Hamm's character's name? I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah.
And because he called him out and was like, aren't you supposed to be training these guys? They're only a week out. And he's like, well, you wanted a team, didn't you? Here's your team. Yeah. And so, he was kind of building morale and building the team up. And so I thought that was super cool. Mm-hmm. Let's see. One last thing I have written down that I thought was super cool is at the very end when Maverick was flying around with Penny in the P-51, that was actually his own aircraft, and cool. that he owns, and so he was actually flying it in that scene, and that certain P-51 that he has, it's only one of two in the world that are still flying. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought that was a cool way to end the movie. Overall, though, I thought the movie was awesome. I would recommend it to anyone, and I definitely want to see it again for sure.
Oh, very cool. Perfect. Yeah. So I can't imagine there are many listeners who are listening right now who haven't seen it, but anyone who has,
can't imagine that.
It might even still be in a few theaters.
It might be. I mean, I saw it 2 weeks ago, and they still had a few showtimes at the movie theater we were at, but yeah. I don't know how long you keep that. There was maybe a handful of people, maybe 12 of us in the theater, but maybe it's still around out there. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's definitely available for purchase now. So I mean, Allison and I watched it from the comfort of our own home, and I would imagine that Paramount Plus, the streaming service, is going to be the streaming service to get it once it
is for sure
streaming. So that should probably be pretty soon, probably in the next few weeks. But
yeah, my sister kept begging me. She's like, "You got to go see it. You got to go see it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to buy it and watch it at home." And she's like, "No, you have to see it in the theater." And I was like, I don't know if it's really that big of a deal. And then we just had this opportunity to go see it, and we're like, all right, let's go do it. And it was really, I was glad I got to see it in the theater for sure. It was super good.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Okay, so if there's nothing else with Top Gun Maverick, I guess to close out the show, we can do a little of Dodger talk.
Sure, let's do it.
So really cool that they set the franchise record at 107 wins. In fact, if they win tonight, I haven't checked if they already won, but it would be 110.
Yeah, they're still playing right now. I just got an update. They're up 6-4. So, they'll get to 110 tonight. They won. There it is. They won. So they're up 6. They won 6-4, and they're at 110. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. So already amazing that they set the record at winning 107 for the franchise for the most wins in a season. But now they're at 110 with the potential to make it 111 if they win.
Right. Let's see, they got 4 games left, so I guess they can max out at 114.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. It's a weird 6-game series, like to end the season. I've never seen this before, so that's really strange that they end on Wednesday and they play the Rockies 6 straight games. It's really, really bizarre.
Yeah. So they could potentially catch it. I mean, the record's 116.
Yeah, 116.
Set by the 1906 Cubs and the 2001 Mariners. I guess
2001 Mariners. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see. But even just if they were just I don't want them to lose out, but I mean they've already clinched the best record in the league.
Yep,
so it means they get home field advantage for the entire playoffs.
Whole playoffs.
That should be really cool. How are you feeling about the playoffs? How do you think the team's looking?
Oh, I think that the only part that concerns me, I think our starting pitching's awesome. I think, obviously our lineup is awesome. It's that back end of the bullpen who's going to close out games. Craig Krimble's been nothing short of a disaster, I guess, this year. Yeah. Definitely not what the Dodgers expected him to do.
Yeah.
And so there's even questions if he's going to make the postseason roster. And so who's going to close out games and tight games in the playoffs? That's going to be the question. And so that's the biggest question mark to me for the Dodgers. Everything else, it's going to be hard to beat them. You see their 4 starting pitchers and what they've done ERA-wise this year and wins. They're so impressive, and I don't think anybody can match up starting pitching-wise with the Dodgers. So it's really going to come down to the back end of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess in that situation, you could potentially have some of your starters actually be relief pitchers, right?
Yeah. I mean, we saw Urias do it in 2020, because Kenley was struggling in that postseason, and so you could potentially see on their off days somebody go down there and close out a game for sure. Kershaw's done it in the past, Urias has done it, so that could absolutely be an option for the Dodgers going down the stretch.
Oh, very good, very good. Looking forward to it and feeling really good. I mean, October is probably the best month for sports. I mean, because it's the one time of the year where everything's going on.
Everything's playing, NBA starting up, NHL starting up, college football, NFL, it's all there, and MLB postseason, and it's fun. And I think the Dodgers, I think they're going to win it. I really do. I'm trying not to be a biased Dodgers fan, but they are the best team in baseball, and I think they're gonna do it. I think they'll see the Astros there, and so that will make it interesting dynamic, getting a rematch against the Astros from 2017, and I think that will make it a more intense series for all Dodger fans.
Absolutely.
Astros. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And then, speaking of, I guess, weird scheduling, I mean, the World Series is going to go into November. So, I guess
it's only done that a couple times. Yeah. I remember maybe one of the last years the Yankees won, Derek Jeter was having a really awesome World Series, and they ended up naming him Mr. November because it went into November, off the Reggie Jackson being Mr. October. So I thought that was kind of cool that, he got the nickname Mr. November, and we're going to have some World Series games in November again this year. So we'll see who stands out in November this year, I guess.
Very cool. Very good. Yeah. Sounds good. Anything else with the Dodgers or Top Gun? Are we good to wrap up, or?
Let's see. No, I don't think so. We covered everything on Top Gun, and I think the Dodgers, they're just rolling right now and get ready for playoff games in about a week here and see how it goes.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be really, really fun. Really great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really excited for it.
Sorry. We have a last minute question, I guess, coming into the podcast.
From the background, huh?
Background, yes. Oh, okay. Allison wants us to talk about fantasy football. I know your receiver for Miami already had a really great game, so we'll see if I can catch up or not. But
we're playing each other this week. What I think I looked yesterday, it's giving me a 68% chance to beat you this week. We'll see what happens. Lamar Jackson's been awesome for me this year. He's got me 45 plus points in 2 of the weeks, and
who are the Ravens playing this week? Are they playing the Chargers?
They're playing Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo. I'm sorry, Buffalo.
Yeah, so that Buffalo's got a good defense, so that could be tough for them. Let me see. Yeah, they are playing Buffalo. Okay. So, I mean, I would love for them to hang another 45 this week for sure, and kind of give me a little bit of an edge there. But you have Mahomes going, right?
I have Mahomes going, yeah. So
who are they playing?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up really fast, but he's been decent. I mean, they lost last week. He's been getting a decent amount of points. Oh, Tampa Bay. That's right. That's right. Because there was a potential worry that they were going to have to relocate the game because of the hurricane, but it looks like it's going to take place in Tampa Bay tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
For Sunday Night Football.
So. Yeah, that's Sunday Night Football. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, that should be fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much trash before I beat you, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll have to come on a later podcast and see where we're at in fantasy football, and we can talk about that. But
that'd be fun. In fact, I'd like to get more guys from the league to play to come on as well.
That'd be fun too. Yeah. I mean, I know Allison's a way bigger trash talker than you are, so she's probably more trash talking. But
No,
but we'll see. I'll text you a lot tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, there's nothing else for tonight. We'll go ahead and wrap up. But Steven, thank you so much for joining me tonight to talk about Top Gun Maverick and to talk some Dodgers. And it was always a blast to talk Star Wars with Weston. I'm looking forward to future podcasts. And as I mentioned to Weston, I mean, we really love your family. You guys are great. So it's we love your friendship, and it's been really fun. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I know it made Weston's night to have him on. He really enjoyed chatting Star Wars, and I know he'd been wanting to set this up for a long time to chat with you, and it was awesome. It was great talking to you, and we love your family too, and hanging out with you guys, and it's been awesome. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, thanks again, Steven, and thank you again to all the listeners. You've been listening to the Casting for Fun podcast. Thanks, everybody.